Hello, this is Vidyasagar presenting to you on the topic organizational behavior. Organizational behavior is a term being used in the companies to study the characteristics of the individuals, group dynamics, as well as the nature of the organization. This helps in achieving more organized and systematic fashion of work in an organization. So now, what influences the most in designing an organizational behavior is the organizational structure. Organizational structure in earlier days, the bureaucratic structure was followed, where the top level management, be it the chairman or the managing director or the boss, decides on make the major decisions based on the data given by his subordinates, and he is the centralized authority who gives action to all. This had been into the setup for a very long time. For smaller companies, this suits well, and for medium and big size companies, they have their own hierarchical order who work on the guidelines given by the top level management on the hierarchical pyramid. Later, due to the terms of globalization, divisions of work has started spreading out that a single person cannot be responsible in taking decisions across the globe. So there came the need for other dynamical approaches for an organizational structure, and then the invent of functional and divisional structure was made. In functional structure, what happens is a particular function, a team is formed on the basis of a particular function. Say for instance, if there is a software functional group, then all the employees in that group are software engineers. This gives the core competency and thorough knowledge about the subject that could increase the quality of the product. But then the disadvantage of this functional structure is that the flexibility in bringing about multiple products goes down. Hence, today's top corporate companies are following divisional structure, and these divisions are majorly focused upon either a product based or geographical based. Say for instance, if an automobile company is producing various products like an SUV model cars, sedan cars, and they have their own two-wheeler automobile divisions, then they are divided into functions based on SUV group, sedan car groups, and two-wheeler groups. This in turn, or on a geographical basis, say for some company having a unit at Australia, then the Australian division, and unit having its base in India as an Indian division, and unit in US as an US division, the European continent has an European division, and so it happens. This is the idea of divisional structure, which is highly being followed in companies like TCS and TCS, Infosys, etc. Wherein functional division are more of product based, so it is being followed in a company like Aptel, where they want to assure upon the quality. So now, what exactly this does is, after knowing the thorough knowledge about the nature of the company, because the nature of the company has a huge impact upon designing the organizational behavior. So now what happens with the organizational behavior is that it is a tool being used to bridge the individuals along with the group with the organization. Okay, so now what builds an organization? It is the people in the organization who are going to build it. People are the asset of an organization. So people play an important role in the organizational behavior, which could lead to a successful organization. Hence, the individual traits and the personality of the individuals contribute a lot towards an organizational behavior. Generally, how do you assess an individual's personality? The basic idea of assessing an individual's personality helps them group the organization by knowing the merits and demerits of the individuals in the organization. So the basic test of personality is personality inventories. What happens with this personality inventories is that generally a situation is given with both positive and negative statements, and people are asked to answer those questionnaires, and based on the outcomes of their answers, their personalities are being analyzed. This is an age-old theory which had been following for ages. And now next test is the projective test, wherein different photos, for example, photos of different social circumstances are being given, and people are asked to write about their interpretation upon those photos, and based on their writings, their mindset, their psychometric analysis is being made, and their positives and negatives are being analyzed that could help in bringing about their merits. Similarly, the next type of test being used to assess someone's personality is assessment center. What happens with an assessment center is that people are usually in assessment center, the test type is made in a way that people are used to do business proposals, business presentations. They are given a business problems and asked to solve on it, give an analysis on that, write letters and memos which could highly be helpful in noting down their decision making ability. And this assessment center process of a personality test could help you find the right leader for an organization, because leadership is a very important tool in building an organization. As such, leader is someone who is the architect of a successful organization. So leadership plays a very important role, because there is a group, but then there needs someone with a big dream, a vision to lead the team towards a success, to reach the success of an organization, and for that we need a very successful leader. So what is the attribute of a leader? Often it is being interpreted that leadership is an authority. Leadership is not an authority, it is a tool given to bridge the team and carry forward towards success. So leadership is not an authority, because there is a difference between authority and leadership. Authority makes people, forces people to listen to you, wherein leadership gives an option for people to choose to listen to you. So you need to be a leader than an authoritative person to run a successful organization. So what are the important attributes of a leader? One is getting involved. Be an example. Dream big. Plan big. Have innovative and entrepreneurial drive. Let me give you a small story to explain these important attributes of a leader. Get involved, be an example, dream big, plan big. Let's get back. Let's take a quick sneak peek into the World Cup 2011. India has won a World Cup after 28 years and it has gone into history now. But then, to do all this, no one was worried. Today no one is worried about how Dhoni performed throughout the series. But then, when the team demanded him, especially during the final of the World Cup, he came down up above the order, played a brilliant knock, stood there till the end and made it possible for a vision to be reached. And that's why we call it a captain's knock. That's how a leader should be. An example, get involved when there is a necessity, when the team needs him, he needs to be involved in the team, and he needs to have big dreams, because dreaming big, hadn't the captain dreamt of having win the World Cup, we would have never won it. So a leader should have big dreams and sell those dreams to his subordinates, and he needs to have plan B, because always probably an idea of having a worked out plan do not go well. Even for that instance, let us take the same example of the World Cup where Dhoni was actually batting out at number 5 and Yuvraj was in a good form, but when the team demanded him, when Sachin got out, he rose up the order, came out at number 4, batted. He chose to make a difference, And he had a plan B in him, that if at all, even if I go out, there is Yuvraj to back up, who is an informed batsman. Similarly, any other organization, because we might not flow in the same plan that is being charted, so a leader should have multiple plans to back up his ideas and keep the flow going. And now let's come into the other important aspect of innovative and entrepreneurial drive. Why should a leader? A leader is not, in today's corporate, a leader is not a person who merely throws out a charted plan and gets the work done. A leader is a person who needs to have a business acumen in him, because today it's everything about money making. So a leader should have innovative and entrepreneurial drive to know the profitability of the project and allocate resources on that basis. So this becomes an inevitable role for today's leaders in corporate world. And next is a leader. A great leader is a good listener. A leader needs to be an extraordinary listener, because we do not know from where ideas could be born. So a leader should not be an authoritative person, as I said, because ideas could flow in from his own subordinates, and that is also a source of encouragement when a leader listens to his subordinates. So always get suggestions, and a leader should be making decisions by getting suggestions from others, and for that, to be a good leader, he needs to be a good listener. And optimism. There may be times when your team is low. For that, the leader should have a positive vibe. He needs to spread that vibe across and make people, because he is selling his dreams to them, and now it is his dreams, so he sell it across to them and make them believe that it is possible, go for it. And that optimism is required to make that challenge happen. And optimism is an important aspect, inevitable, and that's what makes a leader more successful. And share your credentials, but take the blame. This is a very important aspect. A leader should share his credentials, but when it is a blame, he should take upon his shoulders. Let me give you a very small example about this. When in the late 80s, India was about to launch Agni, our earlier president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, was a project director for the Agni. The government has invested crores and crores of money into this project. The media is criticizing the government to involve crores and crores of money into a satellite when its citizens are starving in drought. That was unjustifiable, the media felt. And then when the satellite was launched, before it could reach out to the sky, it fell into the Bay of Bengal. Then the team was entirely dejected. Its project director, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, was also rejected. Then he went up. The media was waiting for them to answer. His boss, Professor Dhawan, called Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and took him to the press meet. And he addressed the press gathering. He said, the boys have put in their force into the action. They have toiled all around. They have put in all their brains, worked really hard, but it didn't work. I am sure we will rise back, come again and make this happen within 1 year. That is a true spirit of a leader, because he had the optimism in him. He was encouraging his team. He said he had a dream. He sold his dream by telling we will make it happen again within 1 year, and above all, he took the blame upon his shoulders. He said the boys really worked hard, but it didn't work. The mistake was mine, and I am sure my boys will make it happen within another 1 year. And then in another 1 year, the mistake was found, satellite was made again, mistake was rectified, it was launched, it was a success. And now Professor Dhawan called Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam again and said, congratulations, you guys made it. Now you go and address the gathering. That is how a leader should be. He should take the blame upon his shoulders, but share the credentials with his team. Teach to prioritize. In today's corporate world, what happens is, all the corporates need maximum work to be done with minimum workforce. So we are all busy, we are all stressed out. So now what is an important aspect of a leader is to teach his team how to prioritize the work, and for that the leader first of all should know how to prioritize his work and do it with maximum ability that could actually rise the productivity of a team without losing the energy of the team. Then lend a hand. This is a very important aspect of a team. As I said, an organization's asset is the people. So not only on a professional basis, even when they are down personally, a leader should be ready to lend a hand for his teammates, because without the involvement of a team, a leader cannot work in vacuum. Without the involvement of a team, a leader cannot build a successful organization, and for that he need to lend a hand. For example, let me give you a very small example on how a leader could lend a hand. If at all, if you have to read a book on leadership, I would recommend read Mr. Narayana Murthy. There could be no better leader than him, to me personally. Let me give you a small example on how he lent a hand when Infosys was completely down. Mr. Nilakani's would-be in-laws rejected his proposal, his marriage proposal for their daughter, and Narayana Murthy went up to them, convinced Mr. Nilakani's would-be in-laws and made the marriage possible for him. And that is how a leader should be, because there again he has sold the idea, he has sold his dreams to the would-be in-laws of Mr. Nilakani, carried the optimism, made them believe, and lent a hand for his team that he was personally satisfied, and that has shown how the organization has come today, where it is today. The involvement of Nilakani, Mr. Nilakani was inevitable in the growth of Infosys, and this is no story, it is in history today. So what is the biggest challenge of today's corporate leader is gaining the trust. As I said earlier, a leader cannot work in vacuum. So gaining the trust of your team is the biggest challenge for today's corporate leaders, and that cannot happen until or otherwise you are transparent enough to your teammates. So be transparent, don't show any personal favoritism for anyone, and a leader should keep motivating the person, because always whenever I find a lot of managerial people, they are afraid of teaching their subordinates, because they feel that if at all if I am going to teach my subordinates, he will become over smart and grab my opportunities. It is not the case. A leader is not a person who does all the job, because always in today's working atmosphere, what people think is the best working professional becomes a leader. No, it is not the case. A leader is someone who is able to extract work. As the real ability of a leader is in assigning the right person for the right job. Here is a very funny quote which I would like to underline here. Mr. Bill Gates of Microsoft said, if at all, if I have to assign the toughest job, I would assign it to the laziest person, because he would find the simplest way to do the job. And that is what an important ability of a leader, to assign the right person for the right job and get it done. So it is not someone who does the best job, but assigning the right job becomes a leader. So having the leader, how could he get the work extracted from the team? Everyone wants something, and now being a good leader alone is not enough. He needs to motivate the team. After knowing all their personality traits through these measures, a leader should know what are the merits and demerits of every individual in his team and extract them, because someone is satisfied when his pay is high, someone is satisfied when he gets a freedom of thought, someone is satisfied when you give a very pleasantable work atmosphere, someone is satisfied if you don't question at all. So a leader should be someone who knows to motivate the team. Every single smile could motivate a people. A morning high five could motivate a person. So it depends upon every individual. So a leader should know the individual personality traits of every member in his team and motivate them accordingly. In today's organizational structure, some of the most common motivational factors are profit sharing. This has proved to be one of the most successful motivating tools. Because when you share the profit, it first Infosys did it, and today almost all organizations in this country are doing this. When the shares of Infosys were given to the employees, they felt to be owning their ideas. They were no more employees. So they felt that I am not working for someone but for myself, and they had the binding towards an organization. That's why I said people are the biggest asset of an organization, and this tool has proved it and has bridged that sense of belonging to the company, and that has proved today, 25 years down the lane, the company has shown an enormous way of growing, and this has been possible only because the people in the organization were bound to it, had their own sense of owning the company, and that's had put in a lot of their hard work. And then a leader's role in motivating a person is very important. A leader should recognize a person in public and point out to his mistakes in person. Often this is being mistook and they do it in a vice versa way. Recognize a person in public. First of all, his recognition spreads across a positive vibe to the team, and also other people in the team go for it, strive for it, and go behind that recognition, go ask for it, and they put in 200% of their work to reach this. And when a person commits a mistake, call them in private, point out to the mistakes and give them a positive solution if you want them to grow, and that is what will make your organization grow, will make you grow as a leader. And freedom of thought, because as the saying goes, beyond the point, a man's idea and his freedom of speech is what makes him feel sensible and associated with an organization beyond the social and economic circumstances. So a freedom of thought is very important, and that is a luxury that is being given in an organization. So try to afford that. Today, all the women in this country have come out to work. 2 decades before, probably we wouldn't have even dreamt of so many women working in an organization. This was made possible only because of the flexibility given to them. Today's corporate has become more successful in bringing out the Indian woman out of the kitchen core because of this ideology of giving flexibility in the organization. This gives them quality time on their personal front, which in turn rises the productivity of an organization, and always resolve to give a better work atmosphere in all possible ways, which could build a successful organization. Giving a better work atmosphere, because again 3 or 4 decades before, we wouldn't have never imagined a company giving option for gym. Even some companies give an option for babysitting. These have given, this is all a luxury given to the organization, where people are now come out of their personal bondings and given their best, because all their personal needs are being resolved by giving a better work atmosphere, and that in turn rises the productivity of the company. Also, they bound to their binding and affinity towards the company builds strong, and this in turn has cemented for a successful base of an organization. With all this, what should not happen in an organization is the organizational politics, because organizational politics is selling an idea of an individual's thought at times on the merit of someone else, even at times over the interest of the organization. We are all for the organization. The organizational, by giving a better work atmosphere, by giving flexibility, motivating you, giving a good leader, giving a workspace, giving a freedom of thought, gives you all that you want. and now you are for the organization, and now the organization's interest should prevail more than the interest of an individual, and that is what could lead a team for a success, brighter future that could pillar for an enlightened tomorrow. Thank you.